Hey, do you want to unlock LinkedIn's hidden potential? In this episode of Profit with a Plan podcast, I am joined by Colin Hirdman, and the co-founder of Rainmaker, who specializes in helping founders, business coaches, and sales teams grow their network and boost sales using LinkedIn's lesser-known features. Colin shares insider strategies to turn everyday LinkedIn tools into powerful growth engines for your business. If you're ready to tap into LinkedIn's full potential and convert connections into client, you don't want to miss this episode. Hey, entrepreneurs, are you ready to boost your profit and grow your business? Welcome to Profit with a Plan podcast, where we share strategies to help you scale your company, increase your profitability, and set up for a successful exit. I'm your host, Marcia Reiner, a business growth strategist and the profit booster behind Infinite Profit. I've helped countless entrepreneurs to build highly profitable and sale-ready businesses. That's more profits now and a bigger payout later. This episode is sponsored by Infinite Profit, where we don't just talk profit, we deliver it. And if you're ready to take your business to the next level, visit Infinite Profit Consulting and start boosting your bottom line today. Hey, but before we dive in, I have just one more thing for you. And if you ever want to avoid profit plateaus, operational headaches, and those pesky growth roadblocks, well, grab my free Profit Booster Playbook at boostingprofit.com, where I share 3 essential strategies to elevate your profits. Now, these aren't just a one-pager. This is a full workbook with great strategies, insider guidance, and expert leadership to put you on the path you need to be on. So again, go get it at boostingprofit.com. All right, let's jump into today's episode. Our guest today is Colin Hirdman. Colin started his first company a week after graduating from college, just last year, and he's been an entrepreneur ever since. He's been building businesses through Monkey Island Ventures, a company he co-founded with his 2 best friends. Monkey Island Ventures is named after a park they played at since they were 5 years old. Colin is now focused on his newest business, Rainmaker, where he helps founders, business coaches, and sales teams build their LinkedIn network, leads, and sales through their authentic engine. Colin, welcome to Profit with a Plan podcast. Thanks for being here.
Thanks so much for having me, Marcy. I'm really excited to be here and share what I know.
Oh, good. This is going to be fun because, you gave me little hints about these strategies that I'm like, these are really good ideas. And I was just really excited to have you come on today and share those. But before we get started, I'd love to figure out, you teased a little bit in the introduction that you are in business with your best friends from like age 5. How in the world did that happen?
It was really just kind of serendipity. So I was selling my first company in 2006. Josh was moving up from Uruguay, and Zach was helping the company he was at transition into a sale. And 2007, we're like, let's build a company. And so we started Monkey Island Ventures. We've all known each other since we were about 5 years old. Monkey Island's named after a park we played at when we were kids, like you said. And it's been phenomenal. Like if any founders out there are able to go into business with people that they wholeheartedly trust and kind of share the ups and downs of being an entrepreneur, I highly recommend it, because I guarantee as an entrepreneur, there will be ups and downs. And as you jokingly alluded to, it's been a little more than a year since I've been doing this. It's fun. And one of the quick things I'll say is, we've always put our friendship and before business. We even came up kind of with core values we call the 5 F's, which are freedom, finances, family, friendship, and fun. And we've lived by those since we started back in 2007. And that's, I think, what's carried us through is just knowing that, we trust each other implicitly. We know that, very few business decisions are ever catastrophic, and
Right.
that we always put our friendship above money. And it's going on this journey that is most valuable. And when we're, hopefully quite a bit older than we are now, we can look back on our lives and really look back on it fondly, with all the trials and tribulations, but also successes that we did together.
You know what? That's an amazing success story because I've heard so many of the opposite, working with family, working with friends, and how, you get into this business and you have this honeymoon phase, and then, soon after that changes, and then you're realizing, oh my gosh, I no longer have a friend, I have a business partner, or I no longer have a family member. We're talking about it at Thanksgiving dinner all the time and every weekend, and it doesn't stop. So it's amazing that your story is the complete opposite, that you guys have been able to keep the friendship in line and build a company. Because, I mean, my goodness, we spend more time, especially as entrepreneurs, in our business than we do with our family and our spouses, our
Right.
kids.
Yep.
And it's like, why not be with someone you enjoy?
Exactly. Nope, that's right. And it doesn't, we've had lots of different businesses. We've had plenty of failures, but we've also had plenty of successes. And I think for anyone that's in entrepreneurship long enough, you will experience both of those.
Love it. Love it. Okay. So love the name Monkey Park
Island,
Ventures.
Monkey
Island
Island
Ventures. Sorry.
Ventures.
It
Yep,
was a
yep,
park.
yep.
I just
It was a park. Yep.
today. So I love the name of that. And did you guys name that park, or was that actually the name of the park?
No, that's literally the name of the park. Yep.
Oh, love it. Okay.
Mm.
Okay. Well, we could go down, we could do a whole podcast on that one just alone. But I'd love to delve into the LinkedIn strategies. And how did you
Yeah.
find these strategies? I mean, you were doing much other things and now you're doing LinkedIn. So
Mhm.
how did that transition occur?
Yeah. So, we have our digital marketing company and our software development company. Josh is the president of the digital marketing. Zach's the CEO of the software development company. And I've been doing a lot of kind of what I'd call, growth hacking through email and through LinkedIn over the last 5 or 6 years for a lot of the products we've stood up for ourselves, our own SaaS products, and then with some of our clients. And what I realized is uh, there's a lot of businesses out there that aren't using LinkedIn the right way.
Mm,
And I went to Josh and Zach in January of this year and I said, with everything I know about LinkedIn, I think I could build a real business around the software and the process that I've built out. And so they said, go for it. And so I launched Rainmaker in February of this year. And what I love about it is the transparency of the model is really everything I'm doing is within LinkedIn. And I'm not using really any features outside of LinkedIn. What I'm helping my clients with is to scale correctly in LinkedIn. And then I think that's really where we're going to want to spend the bulk of our time today.
yeah, I
So
love it.
so the way that I think about LinkedIn is kind of in three layers. The top layer is philosophy. The second layer is audience, and then the last layer is strategies.
Okay.
And again, everything. Oh, did you want to say something?
No, no, no. Go
Oh,
ahead.
okay, yeah, yeah. So, everything I'm talking about, people can go and do manually. So as soon as your audience is done listening to this episode, they could literally go and start doing these strategies themselves.
I
Uh,
love it.
so with the philosophy is number one, you need to be authentic and genuine on LinkedIn. I think most people are. So that's kind of table stakes, right? You need to be authentic to who you are, communicate in your own voice. You need to be authentic to the brands that you represent. Again, I think most people and most brands do this well.
Mm,
Then you have to come to LinkedIn with an educational mindset. No
mm.
one wants to be sold on LinkedIn. Okay, we
Oh
all
my
get
God.
sales messages. Okay, it doesn't work, and so you have to come with an educational mindset, and then you also have to come with an experimentation mindset, knowing that you're going to try different things over time, and you're going to get better and better over time. You'll never perfect it, but you want to get better over time. That's really the goal. And then the last thing
Okay,
is, and this one,
wait. Hang
yeah,
on.
go ahead.
You're feeding us through the fire hose here.
All right, all right,
So hang on a second. Let's go back to the first statement you just brought up. And you
yeah,
said that you have to come in with an educational,
yeah.
mentality here
Mhm,
because
mhm.
nobody wants those awful cold DMs. Oh, hey, Marcia,
Right.
let's be friends, or, oh, I know you from so and so. And then you're like, okay, well, they seem like a warm lead. Networking is what LinkedIn is about,
Yep.
and then you press accept, and next thing you know, and they're like, oh, well, I sell my stuff. Here, buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff. And they don't even know me. They don't
Right.
know anything about, they haven't even read my profile, because if they had, they would have not been asking those questions. And it's
Yeah.
like, how do we stop that? How do we
Mhm.
not be in that space with them?
Yeah. Yep. So again, it's that educational mindset. And I think for a lot of us that are in a founder, a marketing, or a sales seat, like we desperately want to generate more revenue, right? We
Sure.
want to close more deals. I get that. But when you're on LinkedIn, you have to separate yourself from that emotion. You have to think of, what value am I providing? What education am I providing? And it is almost like that. There's that book, The Go Giver, right? You want that
Yeah,
go giver mindset, right?
I have it
Of
on my desk.
giving. Yeah, of giving without expecting anything in return. And if you can do that, it's almost like what you and I are doing today, right? You're sharing knowledge, I'm sharing knowledge, we're giving it away freely. And we know that if we're helping people out, that's of benefit. And then there's some people that might want to talk to us in more depth about what it is that we do and provide more help, right? But there's no expectation from us in doing this. And so, when I think about that last piece around philosophy, it's really incumbent on the founder, the salesperson, or the marketer to understand the pains and the barriers that your prospects are trying to overcome. You need to know what it is they want to be educated on. And most importantly, you have to know what is it specifically that they want to learn from you. And I think anyone that's in, especially B2B, if you're able to crack that nut and understand what is it that you can teach, what is it that your prospects can learn from you, that is what will allow you to actually start to build relationship in LinkedIn. And I think that's, again, what we have to remember what LinkedIn is. It's a social network. It's about
A
people. It's
business
about,
social network, though.
yeah, and
Um,
that's the beauty is it's a business social network and it's also a monopoly. Like
mm,
there aren't other business social networks. LinkedIn is the place to be. And so I think
exactly.
by approaching it correctly, any B2B has the opportunity to really grow. But that's how I
Awesome.
think about it philosophically is being
Love it.
genuine, authentic, educational mindset, and then truly understanding what it is that your audience can learn from you. Then the
Perfect.
next layer down is actual audience building, right? I use Sales Navigator for virtually all the audiences I build. If my clients don't have Sales Navigator, I'll use it. But I would, you can use regular LinkedIn search if you don't have Sales Navigator. It's just you don't have the same amount of filters and you can't save your audiences. But you could still play around with, audiences using regular LinkedIn search. But again, I'm using Sales Navigator. Then there's a couple of ways that, as I've thought about audiences, how do you start identifying people that are maybe further down the purchase path? And so there's a couple of kind of growth hacks that I've identified. So one is LinkedIn events. So if one of your direct competitors or maybe an industry organization is putting on a LinkedIn event that has to do with a topic that your business solves for, if you go and attend that event, you can see everyone else is also attending that event. So you could actually start to build an audience of your prospects that are attending these events because they're publicly raising their hand and saying, this is who I am and I'm interested in this topic. And you could also then attend that event, see who those people are. And maybe, like for me, I would maybe attend an event and I'd look for, other founders or business coaches, whatever, that are maybe located in the Minneapolis area or in Minnesota or whatever, right? And I could start extracting out an audience of people to start connecting with because I know they're already thinking about the types of things that my business solves for.
Nice.
Another one would be identifying like a thought leader in your space. So there's a woman named Brenda does a great job on LinkedIn. She talks a lot about like your LinkedIn profile and like how you should be posting and all of that. And so I reached out to connect with her. She connected back with me. And because her connections are open, I can go into like Sales Navigator or you can go into LinkedIn search and say, okay, I want to see everybody that's a first connection to Brenda, but is a second or third degree connection to me, because I
Mm,
know that they're most likely following her because they want to learn how to get better on LinkedIn and therefore they might be a candidate for Rainmaker. So
love it.
those are two ways of kind of building out an audience of people that might be further down the purchase path. One is events, and the other would be other people that are thought leaders.
So
So
you gave
yeah,
us some really good tips on there. So
yeah,
let's kind of I like to make sure that if you're giving us all this great juicy information to kind of recapture it and give the audience a chance to finish writing too.
right, yeah.
So let me ask you this question about the audience that you're choosing, and you specifically mentioned those that are lower down the buying journey.
Mhm.
Why would you be so interested in having people lower down the journey? Because we know that there's a pyramid and the top 3% are all ready to give you their credit card. The next 17% are, thinking, and they have those they're actively looking for it. But why would you go down lower on the buyer's journey to maybe get somebody who's just investigating the opportunity and thinking they have a problem and looking for a solution?
Well, I think we just have our funnels flipped. So like at the top of the funnel for me are people that, are just starting to think about what you're doing or might not even be in market. And so
Ah,
people then that are attending these events or are following a thought leader would be further down the funnel because
got
they're
it.
already thinking about it. Yeah.
Okay, so you just flipped the words the way I was thinking about it because I use that
Sure.
buyer's pyramid, on awareness
Mm.
that where they're ready to go, but you just flipped it upside down and said, okay, this is the funnel for it, and those closer to the top or the bottom in this case would be
Mm.
more active in participating in looking for a solution. They're looking specifically for somebody, and they're closer to that buyer's engagement. So I love it.
Exactly.
Thank you for
Yep.
that clarification. All
Yeah.
right, so we talked a little bit about the idea of the way your philosophy is run, and then you're looking at these buyer opportunities that you could go into. Are we still in the buyer's opportunity? Because I know I like put the brakes on you for a half a second, but are we still in the buyers? Or we are now on to the third section?
Yeah, we're on to the third section. So we've talked
Okay,
about
great.
philosophy, we've talked about audience, and so now we're into the strategies.
Okay,
So
cool.
what I'm doing for myself and all my clients, the number one thing is just growing out your audience. Okay. You want to connect with more people and build out more first connections with people that, could be really good prospects for you. What the cadence that we're doing is reaching out to 25 people a day, Monday through Friday during normal working hours. So 125 people a week, 500 people a month. And
Pretty good.
across myself and all my clients are getting between like a 10 and a 40% connection rate back. It
Okay.
really depends on the audience. And so I've had some clients where one list is converting at 8%, another list is converting at 28%. So
Mm,
number one reason why someone will connect back with you is mutual connections. So if you have already a lot of mutual connections around like your geography, right? The city or the state that you're in, or maybe within an industry or industries that you're in, those are great places to start because you're probably gonna have a lot of overlapping mutual connections. And that's the number one reason why people will connect. Uh,
I love that. That's
yep,
that's a really juicy tip, is because
yep,
you said that in looking at Brenda's case that you were looking for all the people she was connected, but that were in second connection opportunity to you. So that
mhm,
means they're closer and more apt to lean into you rather than somebody who's a third, or
yep, right.
somebody you've never met and you have no connections to, going, where did this person get my name?
That's exactly right. Yep,
Love
yep.
it.
Yep. And so, like I said, we're getting between a 10 and 40% connection rate. We're typically not using a connection message. So we're not saying something like, oh, hey, would love to connect with you. We're just,
Interesting.
yeah, we're normally just reaching out. It's hard to not sound kind of canned when you're with that. So like what I like about these limits that I'm telling you is that they're under the LinkedIn limits. So when you go to in-person networking events, when you are doing other activities and meeting people, you can still connect with people organically. And with those people that you might meet like at an in-person event, you might want to put like a message in there, right? But those are the
Right.
one-offs. And so, but again, that experimentation mindset, you might want to test using a message with like a discrete group or industry that you're reaching out to and just see how it performs. But typically, we're not using a connection message.
Interesting. Okay, good to know. I know that a friend of mine put a comment out, I think it was either last week or the week before, that said, are you doing your connections with notes? And I said to myself, well, I'm not gonna connect with someone if they haven't taken the time to put a note in, because I want to know why they want to connect with me.
Yeah, yeah. And different people are different, but I can tell you we're getting 10 to 40% connection rates
That's
back
pretty darn
without
good.
that is good. Um, and then if someone doesn't connect within 30 days, we withdraw the invite.
Okay.
And then what you're doing is you're taking the invite back. You can't re-invite that person for 3 weeks. But then what we're doing is creating pools of people you could reach out to at a later date to try and connect with again. So a lot of times people aren't connecting with you. It's not that they don't want to. It's just that your invite gets pushed down. They're busy, and they don't see your alert to connect.
Sure.
So
So,
uh,
quick question for you though. You've mentioned a couple of times that, you're using LinkedIn Navigator for all of this kind of stuff to build your audiences and to build these lists. Are you able to create kind of a CRM on your marketing client management tool on your marketing efforts in LinkedIn, or are you taking that off to like a spreadsheet somewhere?
so the because everything we're doing is happening within LinkedIn, my clients can log into their LinkedIn account anytime they want, and they can see all the activities that they're having. So they can see all the new connections they're getting, they can see messages being sent, all of that. So they are each doing it however they want to. So some of them are using CRM, some aren't. But the functions of reaching out to connect, the function of withdrawing invites after 30 days, like that's all in LinkedIn. You can do all of that manually if you want, and I'd say that's good hygiene to do. So I'd recommend that people do it. Yeah, regardless of whether they're using something like Rainmaker or not.
Oh, I love it. I love it. This has been really good. Okay, so you've taught us how to connect 25 a day, 125 a week. That's 500 people a month that you can reach
Yep.
out to connect to. You're getting, a pretty decent return on your connections, and then those that don't, you're pulling them back. So
Yep.
that kind of keeps everything fresh and going, and plus it gives you an opportunity to go back out and get them again. If there's another, like they joined another group that, oh, hey, Bob's on my list from weeks ago. I see him in another conversation somewhere else. Do you do any kind of nurturing and commenting and any kind of that stuff behind the connection?
Yeah, no, that's great. That's a great question. So I the way that I've set Rainmaker up, we're not critiquing our clients' LinkedIn profiles, and we're not helping them with their organic content. Like they're experts in their business, in their industry. Like that's what they need to be focused on is content creation. One nice thing as you grow out your first degree network is that as you post content, and hopefully it's educational, value added content, that more of these new connections you're getting are going to start seeing your content, and hopefully that will start to build relationship up just by doing that. But some of the other campaign types that we run, one of them is very typical, is like a message campaign. So after someone connects, like a day or 2 days later, send a follow-up message and just thank them authentically for the connection. Don't try and sell anything. Don't even try and help. Just thank them authentically for the connection. So I'll use an example. One of my clients owns a law firm, and he's connecting with blockchain founders around the US. And his first message, says like, "Hi, Colin. Thanks so much for connecting. I'm really passionate about the blockchain space. I know you are as well. Look forward to, sharing and seeing your content, something like that." But he knows that just by using the word passionate with blockchain, going back to philosophy, anybody that's developing in the blockchain space is passionate about that area. And so
No
he knows
kidding, right?
that's not coming across as inauthentic. That's coming across as authentic, right? And if they were to go poke at his LinkedIn profile or go to his website, they can see that blockchain is part of how he's building up his law firm. So, and then if they reply the way that we have it set up, any other messages would stop, and then they just communicate through the LinkedIn inbox because that's where all the communication's happening. If they don't reply, then like a week later, we send a second message, and that's where you want to start adding value. You can add value through asking, a salient question. It could be, maybe there's a new asset that you've built on your website you want to share. Maybe there's a third-party asset that you want to share from another company you think would be of high value. Maybe there's an event that you're putting on that you want to invite them to, right? So how are you starting to add value? So again, I'll use the same client as an example. He follows up and he says, Hi, Marcia. I find myself more and more writing about the intersection of law and blockchain, and I'm wondering if there's any topics you'd have interest in me writing about. Again, he knows that blockchain founders have a lot of issue with the US government and law and regulation. And just with that question, he's getting these founders replying back saying, oh, if you'd write about this topic, that'd be great. Or do you have any insight on whether you think this law will pass or not? Right. So he's getting interaction, he's being seen as a thought leader, and he's progressing people through relationship into becoming prospects and clients just through that question. So that's an example, but I think there's lots of other ways that you could use messaging in authentic ways that is bringing value. But that's part of what that experimentation mindset is like, what do my prospects find of value?
And I
One other,
love the
yeah,
fact that we've made a connection.
yep,
We've said thank you for the connection. We've added some educational, based on our philosophy, educational value. And it's been 2 or 3 weeks in, and we haven't hit the sale button yet. So,
nope,
I mean,
that's right,
not our button, but we haven't pushed their button going, hey, buy my crap, right?
right. No,
And
that's exactly right.
I love that because it is so icky and it's so turn off. It's such a turn off to hear somebody come in and go, "Oh yeah, Marcia, well, thanks for the connection. By the way, here's my full suite of services, buy my stuff." And I'm like, So
Yeah,
I like this that you're building a relationship. Nobody goes to the bar these days, and I use that term and says, "Hey, let's go get married," right? Not
right,
the
right.
other side. Let's get to business, right? It's
Exactly.
a slow dance that takes
Yep.
time.
Yep.
And you want to learn about each other. And I think this is an incredible way of doing it.
Yeah. And the last strategy that I want to make sure that we talk about are LinkedIn live streams.
Mm.
I'm doing those almost once a week. I'm getting, I'd say, anywhere from like 15 to 30 people a week attending my live streams. The live stream that I'm typically using is, how to grow your LinkedIn network leads and sales. And I'm pretty much using the same deck each week. So I'm not having to create all this new content all the time. I've identified a topic that then I have different audiences, right? Whether it's founders or business coaches or sales executives or fractionals, right? I'm going after these different audiences that are in my first degree network now that I've grown over time. And I'm inviting them to my LinkedIn live streams. And I'm using the LinkedIn event invite function, which is part of LinkedIn. And when you send those invites, it just shows up as a notification. It's a nice soft touch. And it's a way for people then to go to your event and then they decide whether they want to click the attend button or not. So it's actually a wonderful testing tool because you can create topics and audiences. You can put these live streams out. And if nobody's clicking the attend button, then you know your audience or your topic or both are off. But
Hmm.
if you get people to click attend, then you know that you're on track. Okay. You have something of value. But the real magic, especially for any B2B, is that when the live stream is done, I follow up with each attendee and I'll say something like, hey, Colin, thanks again for registering for the LinkedIn live stream that I led this morning. Not sure if you were able to make it or not, but in case you missed it, here's a link to the recording. Okay? So
That was
that
my question.
live stream is saved as a recording forever on that LinkedIn event page. And then underneath it, I'll say, if you ever want to chat LinkedIn strategy, feel free to grab some time convenient for you here. And I'm giving them my Calendly link. Okay. For any B2B, you have to book meetings. You have to talk. You have to build relationship before somebody buys from you. And in
Yes.
the process I've just described, you're giving someone your Calendly link and it doesn't feel salesy. It doesn't feel pushy. It doesn't feel icky in any way. And now you're using LinkedIn to teach. Now you're using LinkedIn. You're providing value to your prospects and to the ecosystem. But on the back end, you're also giving the opportunity for these prospects then to start booking time with you through a Calendly link. And that is what's helping you now start to fill your pipeline with real prospects that could turn into sales.
So, in order to do a live stream or an event or have any of this, you need to have Sales Navigator, or you can do it with the regular LinkedIn.
Nope, everything I talked about you could do without using Sales Navigator at all. The only reason why I use Sales Navigator is just to build the audience.
Awesome. And then you also have some tools that you're using because you've mentioned it a few times that help automate this whole system, right?
Yeah, that's our software that's on the back end. So I've kind of set this up as like a white glove SaaS where My clients interface with me. They don't interface with software. Someday that might change, but right now the software, my process sits on the back end. And right now I'm just interacting with all my clients one-on-one.
So that's amazing. So for us busy business owners that dread having to make social posts and comments and find 25 people each day to connect with and all this stuff, we're busy running our business. There's a software that you've created, Rainmaker, that can actually automate that system for us, correct?
Yes, although one clarification, I'm not automating any of the organic posts. So like the
Okay.
content you still need to do. And if you want to go and like or comment on other people's posts, I could automate that, but I don't want to, and I don't
Because then it
recommend
gets kind of
doing that.
icky and awkward, right?
Yeah,
It
I
gets
mean, if some
like bot work.
Yes, that's not what you want. So what again with Rainmaker, really what I'm freeing my clients up is for them to just be able to focus on content and then any organic activities that they want to do on LinkedIn, and everything else is getting taken care of.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, we all like something that's easily done for us and
Right.
getting things moving, but with any relationship, it takes a person and a person on the other side.
Right.
So even though I'm dating Chad GPT, he can't make those relationships for me, and he
Right.
can help me communicate better and write better and so on, but he can't make those relationships for me. That's where that one-on-one human interaction comes in. So I
Exactly.
love that.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Love that.
Totally agree. Yeah.
And do you ever take your LinkedIn strategy once you've got them in your system and they've raised their hand and they've communicated with you some slight interest? Do you ever take that off of LinkedIn and go into email marketing or any kind of off site
Yeah.
activities, or do you
Yeah,
keep
for
it all
sure.
on LinkedIn?
Yeah. No, I mean, so one-on-one conversations, a lot of times I'll take out of the LinkedIn inbox and put into email.
Good.
And then if I'm having conversations with prospects, there'll be times when I'll ask them if they want to get added to like the Rainmaker newsletter or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely, I encourage you to kind of have the conversation organically within the LinkedIn inbox and just take it outside of that when the timing feels right.
I love that because, we've anybody that's played in the LinkedIn space, it could be like weeks before someone goes back into LinkedIn, especially the founder space and the CEO space, because they're quite
Mhm.
busy. They're not
Mhm.
always on and active. And so, I always thought, well, gee, I sent a message and they didn't reply. Well, it's maybe because they haven't logged in lately.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
having that backup and that off platform communication after you get the conversation started seems like it would be able to have a better pace with it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I would say LinkedIn is growing all the time. They're adding more and more features to it. 90% of the people on LinkedIn are lurkers. So if you're creating content and building out your network, you're in rare company. And if you're doing, thoughtful messaging and, LinkedIn live streams, you're really in rare company at that point. So, but yeah, at the end of the day, yes, I want to build a relationship with people on LinkedIn. I want to meet people in person and have a relationship with them through LinkedIn. But I also want LinkedIn to be a revenue driver for my company. And I don't say that in a greedy way. I just say that I'm using it for business purposes. It needs to generate revenue for me. And I think a lot of what we talked about today, if your audience implements what we talked about, they can turn LinkedIn to a revenue driver.
I love it. Well, I took lots of notes and I'm going to go back and re-listen to this as well and really take more notes. This is fantastic. So, Colin, where can listeners find out more about you and Rainmaker to see if it's something that they could utilize in their business practice?
Sure. If you go to rainmakergrows.com, the business model is super transparent. So there's two pricing plans. There's no contract. It's just month to month. I love working with, founders, entrepreneurs, salespeople. Um, there's a free consultation button that would book a Calendly directly with me. Right now, I'm the only one doing anything in Rainmaker. I'm not using any other people or anything like that. It's just me and my process. I love talking strategy. I'm happy to do that for free for anyone that's interested. So feel free to go to rainmakergrows.com. And then if you want to look me up on LinkedIn, I'm the only Colin Hirdman, Hirdman on LinkedIn.
Perfect, perfect. You got the real estate right there. So
That's
that's wonderful. All right, listeners, thanks for tuning in today. I hope you picked up on some valuable insight and actionable ideas that'll help you make your business more profitable. And as Colin mentioned, any effort you do has to have an ROI to it, right? You've got to get an investment on your business activities. And I know so many of us are putting time, energy, and effort into LinkedIn and not getting the results that we want. So that's why I love these tweaks that Colin mentioned, and these tools that are everyday tools that LinkedIn already provides us. Not very many people are using, and you can jump ahead of the pack and really start to get an ROI on your time invested inside of LinkedIn. So I would encourage you, go take Colin's opportunity up and look up his Rainmaker Grows program and see how it can benefit you. All right, as I mentioned earlier, if you want to take your business to the next level, make sure you grab my free Profit Booster Playbook at boostingprofit.com, where I break down the steps to drive profits, streamline your operations, and prepare your business for a future growth and a future sale. And then while you're at it, don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment, share your feedback. I'd love to hear your thoughts. So join us and communicate with us so we can make sure that we're providing value to you. And while you're at it, you can find Profit with a Plan on any of your favorite podcast platforms. I'm looking forward to more great profitable information on next week's show. So until then, make your plans and profit with them. Thanks so much, Colin.
Thanks, Marcia.